too excited.
Me too.
Okay. So I want to maintain the topics of each module, but I want to expand beyond. So what I've done is I have created two reports for each of you, one each, and they are based on your soul contracts so that we can do a deeper dive into karma. And I have created some worksheets and some journal prompts and some additional information to support you in integrating that. So this first month, and I also heard you both echoed each other, which I know, no surprise there. um, in that you wanted more interaction and more conversation. So the other thing I've done is I've created some talking prompts because, as I said, I want to maintain the values, vision, purpose aspect of module one, but I want to take it even further. So, as you look at values, vision, and purpose, how does your karma play into it? And how can you harness? So, I've done a deep dive over the last 2 months and had a group conversation with some of the soul contract people Wednesday morning about what is karma. So, let's start there. And then we're going to backtrack and go into values with the perspective of my definition, our definition of karma. Karma is something that your soul designed for you to harness in this life. In the beginning of your life, it is your it is a lens through which you view the experiences and challenges that come your way, and you begin to create context and containers for that um, for that information, so that it begins to seed your perspective on how you view your challenges in life, how you view your traumas, how you view the things that stand between you and fully being self expressed. Does that make sense? And does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And do we have any comments on that?
I personally, I have always thought of karma as a balance, and that could be across multiple lives.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely agree on it can create the lens. But I think there's so many levels of karma that it's not just your personal karma.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's personal karma, the stuff we create in this life. There's past life karma. There's also future life karma. There's ancestral and genetic karma. So I agree. I think it is multi-leveled, multi-layered. And yet in this life, there's that singular theme. And for you, Vicky, you have 6/6 in both physical and spiritual karma. So it's like your soul said, I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. And this is the lens through which you will view the world. And let me add another layer to that because it's important. The world, the earth, the 3D reality has all of these morphogenic fields, right? Of trauma, of love, of, both things that would be considered positive and negative. And when we understand what our karma is, We understand what our connection to the primary morphogenic field that we have agreed to come and begin to heal. So then you have your global influence, right? Ooh, you like that, don't you?
Yes, because that articulates what I was trying to say in that multiple levels of karma. Because like I think the country that we're born in has karma,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Yeah,
The
I
city
like
we're
that.
born in, the
Mhm.
family we're born in,
Family.
the friends that we adopt along the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this, yeah, I'm getting like huge goosebumps. This leans deeply into everything happens for you. So if we then look at every life circumstance through the lens of karma, of it being an opportunity for us to contribute to our personal evolution and to the evolution of the planet, then karma starts to take on really deep importance. And it, because when you hear karma, you hear meh, meh.
Yes.
You know?
Your karma's coming.
Yeah,
Like,
karma will get you. And so that's the lens that I want to hold over the next month. What, and again, I don't want to lose our values, vision, purpose, because when you start laying karma on top of those three, the depth and the richness that they can attain creates energy codes, yes, in your field that allows you to really have that environmental influence and impact. Make sense?
Yes, very much so. And I would agree that the lens, I feel like it's almost like wearing a bunch of different kinds of glasses. Our work, our friends, our um, circle of influence, and then our past and future. All of that kind of it's like we put on different shades of glasses for each of those.
Yeah, 100%. And it creates that internal landscape that calls all that to us, right? So your relationship to your karma is going to call the job, is going to call the business opportunities, is going to call the friends, is going to call the partners. Because that partner, that business is all about reflecting back to you the opportunities that karma presents. And as we get older, hello, that's where we are today. It becomes much less about um, overcoming our karma or harnessing our karma. It becomes about applying the wisdom that we have gained through our karma. Because I think that's where we're at. We're at the place of what wisdom have I gained that I now can take into my life in all of the areas that we just talked about? That's a big one.
so do you, um, by harnessing the wisdom gained from our karma, we can then use that to transmute future karma. Because at some point, i.e., right now, United States of America, we're at a karmic tipping point, I believe,
Yep.
where it's like just waiting on that domino to flick, and then they all fall down. But if we as a collective, and obviously you have to do that as an individual first, harness the wisdom that we've learned, then we could stop that domino from knocking the rest down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're not gonna, but in theory.
No, but in theory, but if you focus on that,
Yes.
10 of your friends do,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, the influence is great.
Oh, I love this layer. Heidi, we're going to be all over this, sis.
You know it, girlfriend. And yeah, I know you weren't part of the early conversation. I'm driving in bad
Mm.
traffic, so my apologies if it takes me a little bit to get off microphone. I'm next to, unfortunately, slow traffic and a very loud
Oh,
motorcycle. So
oh, bless you.
I'm trying to keep the noise down.
All good. All good.
Well, the good news is Zoom filters everything except your beautiful voice. So
Oh, good. Okay. Well, because I'm like, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? I'm glad it's nice enough to ride your Harley, but can you not rev your motor when we're like totally stopped?
yeah.
No, no, he must. He must. You need to look at him. He
Yeah.
needs you to look at him.
Oh, that's girl. That's exact. He wants the thumbs up, right?
Yeah, yeah. Bless him.
I love it. Okay, so I know neither one of you have, let me pull up my your information on you, but when you take in this new layer of karma and you consider your primary values, your immutables, the ones that don't apply to circumstances, right? What do you feel is non-negotiable? And does that still apply today the way it did 6 months ago? And how's it, well, let's start with that.
When you started your sentence, you said something about, I already forgot, but it was important, I think, because you said you're talking about karma, but like that's not situational. So what do you mean?
Yeah, so when I look at values, for me, I put them into two categories. I have my values that are non-negotiable, that are immutable, such
Mm-hmm.
as kindness and love and being heart-centered, all of those things. And then I have my situational or circumstantial values, which are, you know, open-hearted travel or um, those types of things.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
They're more specific to the moment,
Yep.
opposed to like your immutable values are like that. This is the core of who I am.
Yes. Yeah. And as we've talked about in the past, those mutable values create our boundaries, right? They determine what you will and will not accept into your life.
I like it.
Yeah.
It makes plenty of sense.
Yeah. So as you and if you can, because I know Vicky's on vacation and Heidi's in transit, later, look at the values that you've selected for yourself. And one, do they still apply? Two, what is your perception of them as you then consider your karma? Are they aligned? Do they support the evolution of your karma into a wisdom, um, into an asset, a tool? And how have they evolved?
Now this is the good stuff. Mm.
Any thoughts on that, or do you want to defer until you get them in front of you?
I think I want to defer, but I can tell you for sure that the perception of my values from 6 months ago and a year ago definitely changed and
Yeah.
evolved and have added complexity. Yeah.
How about you, Heidi?
Yeah, I would say, so love what you said about that kind of added complexity. And I think there's a section for me that I've released had the time to release some of, I think, the things that I thought were really important and defined. Um, Define some of that. And by releasing it, I don't want to say it dumbed it down, but it just made it a lot more simple. I feel like I was overcomplicating so much of it, trying to fit it into boxes and maybe categories. And now being more relaxed with just going with this is how I feel, this is what's important to me, and how those things align together. And when it's not feeling good, instead of trying to define it, observing. And I think that's been part of my healing is allowing myself the space to be the observer and not trying to say, oh my gosh, well, these were part of my values. What happened here? Like, it blew up and not in a good way. What does that mean for me? And I feel like, I mean, T, I'm so grateful that I've done alchemy enough times to be able to really, I feel like I have done so much healing and releasing because I feel like I couldn't release until I healed. And now it's just like it's so much easier to release because the healing, not that it's ever done, but I feel like I've created such a pathway that it's not as painful.
Well said. Yeah. And that's the evolution, isn't it? That's the opportunity that really understanding and taking time to reflect on these things gives you. And the added wisdom, Heidi, that I'm not done. It continues to unfold in different iterations. I think is like the chef's kiss, right?
Absolutely. And to be okay that you're not on a timeline there's not a due date of the healing.
Yeah. I think oh, okay, yeah, thank you. The only due date is when we're done, when we leave the planet. You
Yes.
know?
Amen.
Hmm.
I love that so much. And what you said, Heidi, about like making space, it's almost like clearing out your flute so you can play beautiful music. Like you need to have place for your wind to go through, and when it's all clogged up, from what I've been learning over the past whatever, um, once you, I feel like when I started like nicking pieces of those things inside my flute away and allowing, it made things so easier. And again, to your point, um, and I talked to you about this, Teresa. You can read all the books and do all the things and have all the tools,
Yeah.
but like until you really embody them, I feel just makes such a difference. And I think the same challenges will present themselves. We will just be able to address them from a higher level of consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah. And that path is never ending. That higher level of consciousness is ever evolving. And here's the other piece that I've been reflecting on, especially in the last few days, is it looks so much different today than it did even 50 years ago or 100 years ago. Because for me, the aligned action feels more accessible. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, there's no stopping us from executing in some fashion.
But I think in order to be unstoppable, you have to own your power. And that requires you to drop all past belief systems or those that don't serve.
Yeah.
Because you can't stand in your power, in my opinion, and take inspired action when you have external influences telling you what the box is.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck the box. I don't even like boxes, you know? It's my least favorite shape. Give me a triangle.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So vision. And I'm going to take note of the inquiries that we're making under each one, and I'll send this to you. If you removed every single limit, especially as it's related to your karma, but every limit that you have perceived up till now, because there's more that we don't perceive. Hello, I'm poster child. Um, how aligned is your vision from 6 months ago? And I want to make sure that when we look at our visions, it's not simply in the application in a certain area of our life. I want it to bridge all of those areas that we've talked about up till now: friends, family, business, job, relationships, aspirations. And I'll use you as an example, Vicky. When we first started, you had a very specific goal, and that was to help underprivileged women specifically. That has changed dramatically. Has the underlying heart-centered application? No. But the execution and the overarching vision has grown and gotten so much bigger.
For sure.
Yeah.
This is juicy stuff. I like it.
Heidi, any thoughts on vision or?
No, I think that really stands out, and I like your comments on that, T. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So now we look at purpose. All right. Again, yeah, I love this too. Using the filter of karma. And like I said, I've put together a report for both of you, as well as some worksheet type stuff that has tools for you to harness. But how do you know when you're purpose aligned? And what are the signs or the feelings? Because we know that feelings are fuel, right? Which is why it's so important not to let them drive the bus, but instead to harness them, right? And when I say don't drive the bus, I don't mean ignore them, but simply acknowledge and provide a counterbalance when you've moved through them, right? So what are the signs that you're receiving from external world and internal world, you know? And what are the feelings that guide you to your purpose? And fundamentally, does the purpose that you've been holding, whether consciously or not, because when you write something that says my purpose is, it's going to overarch, it's going to influence how your world unfolds. So, what's guiding you? What is your relationship to that purpose and how has it evolved?
Do you think that you have a singular purpose or multiple purposes in different seasons?
That's a great question. Both.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think you have like a big daddy,
Yep.
and then you have like baby purposes.
Yep. Yeah. I also think it depends where you are in the seasons of our lives. I mean, there's a reason why they call it wise women, right?
And I think when when your baby purpose is completed, then you move, the universe pushes you to something else.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
But you still have like the big daddy purpose.
Yep. And I think that big daddy purpose is directly related to our karma.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, you just nailed it. That was aha. It was an aha one. Big daddy purpose.
Yeah.
Directly related to karma. I agree.
Yeah. And when we get into our brilliance, we'll look at our talents and start to look at how our talents are influencing our brilliance. I think, and here's why I find this so fascinating. I think it's a very well organized and prescribed path based on your soul contract. But because humans are such wild cards, we have free will and we have tremendous external influence genetically, I mean, we went through them, right? All of those external influences, all of those internal influences, they direct where our attention goes.
You got to rein that in.
Well, but do you? Do you have to rein it in, or do you have to understand it so you can harness it?
The latter.
Yeah. So it becomes an asset, right?
Yeah.
Rather than it being a liability, it becomes an asset. And I'll draw the parallel to, are you responding to situational challenges or are you reacting? And all of us do both. It's just we tend to be the reactor less and less and less. Ooh, they just gave me the image of a reactor and how it's so explosive and tender and all of the physical attributes of a nuclear reactor. Volatile, powerful. When it's well harnessed, it moves in a singular direction of support and co-creation, but when it's not, it's explosive. Sorry.
Keep them coming. I immediately thought, yeah, bring it in, understand it. But a lot of people stop right before the harness.
Yeah.
And gosh, you're leaving a lot of stuff on the table.
Yeah. Agreed.
Like all your power.
Agreed.
Well, and some of that, isn't it too, being comfortable enough to allow some of the uncomfortableness and step away from the fear and welcome it more as from the optics of observation, which I think for me takes down the anxiety, so then I can really have a better view versus the feeling of the panic.
Yeah.
And don't you need to be in an environment where that is supported?
Well, it sure the hell helps.
Speaking from experience, right, Heidi?
Amen.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are in situations where they don't may not feel supported, and then you're acting from a different energetic place, like your root chakra of safety,
And
you know,
survival.
and survival.
Yeah. And we all have had points
Hmm.
where that root chakra was so inflamed that that was the only place to respond from.
Girl,
When you,
my root chakra ran out of spinners. It was just yeah, you're right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's juicy too. Got lots of juice today.
Oh, lots of juice.
Hmm.
Okay. The other prompts that were given to me there were two. One is soul expression. Not self-expression, but soul expression. Where do you still hide behind self? And where are you confident and in your power to express from soul?
Oh boy, this is going to be a doozy.
Yeah. I find for me, where I still can be reactionary is with family. Especially when there's a particularly volatile situation, right? Let me draw two contrasts using myself as an example. There was a time, I would say in my 30s and early 40s, where my relationship to religion was one of absolute disdain.
Mm.
Had nothing to do with this life, nothing, because I didn't grow up religious. I tried different religions. Some I liked, some I didn't. But I had no affiliation with religion, good or bad. Um, but when I distilled it down, it was past life. Being burned at the stake kind of sucks, you know. Being persecuted and imprisoned for having differing views from the church. And that had happened in a few different lifetimes. So my perception of church was one of absolute disgust and disdain. And I had to work on it. I didn't have to, but I chose to, because when you have that big of a trigger, there's something worth healing there, right? Now my relationship with church is one of what a phenomenal structure we built
Mhm.
that can be harnessed for good. How can church and spirituality find a meeting place? Actually, not a meeting place, a meeting playground, right? Because the universe kept putting people who were strongly church influenced but very spiritual in my life.
Mm.
So I began to entrain into their energy and understand what the appeal was, what made sense. And for a period of time, as I did this exploration, I attended Unity Church, and I loved it. How much fun was that? So, as we look at our soul's expression, it was my soul was expressing from a very specific perspective. And by tuning into it, I allowed myself to grow a different set of wisdom tools.
I don't know what it's going to be for me. I got to think about that.
Yeah. Here's another example. Last week, I got a call from my niece who I don't speak to because she has stolen from me, and she's just, you know, um, stating that my brother was in jail. And I said, nah, you're being scammed. I mean, because she got a text saying, hey, I'm in jail, come bail me out. Well, in actuality, both situations were true. My brother was in jail, and she was being scammed. And my brother was arrested for beating up his wife. She has now got a restraining order and is pressing charges and moving forward with her own life. And rage is an issue with the men in my family. And it's very interesting because most of the grandchildren are female,
Oh, mm.
except for two. And I had formulated a relationship with my brother based on the belief that he had healed his rage because his new wife was a highly respected psychologist working with prisoners, and she was just she knew her shit. Well, I was wrong, and I said, and I said, we're done. That is not a value that I support in my life. But I reacted at first. I was pissed. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You were supposed to have fixed this. You were supposed to have healed this. And so there was a place that the universe offered me to take the healing even deeper and to assert what values I would allow into my life. And could I also step into compassion for both parties? Right? Doesn't mean I have to agree or support or even maintain relations, but can I hold strong boundaries and compassion? And that to me is a soul expression, right?
Yeah. And that's very real. I mean, obviously it is very real life because it was your life.
Yeah.
Um, but I think we probably both are all, Heidi and I have probably all had situations that are similar. And I always get hung up on I don't want to just walk away from someone that's hurting. Eh, But also, I don't want to be part of the circus.
Yeah.
And then I question, like, do I have a duty to do anything? Like, but then I also, on the other hand, and like in that situation, I'd be like, but he said he worked through it and he didn't. But then also, people stumble. Like, that's a hard one right there.
Really hard. And so then you step into discernment, right?
Hmm.
For me, the first question I asked, is this for me to fix? Right? So am I the tool for my brother to evolve? I gotta know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what can I learn from this? What can I harness from this situation for my own evolution? Well, the obvious is holding strong boundaries, right? And self-expressing. Do you know what the other piece was? I finally got to name all of the things that occurred in our childhood that were related to this. Because in my entire growing up, I had healed them, I had worked through them, but never had anybody sat down with me and had a conversation about it. Never had my brother come to me and said, I'm really sorry I punched you in the face. You know? And I couldn't even say to him, hey, you punched me in the face. So then we step into just and this is a newly evolved opportunity for me. So I'm sure there's additional layers. But when I initially went into this, what is mine? Where is my wisdom? What is mine to do?
Well, and Teresa, I love what you said about setting boundaries and still having compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's those two things that I think I waver on boundaries, and I've really stepped up my game with boundaries. And at the same time, not having to be what I would consider like I'm a Libra, right? So I am all about the rules. You got to follow the rules, and I'm the game warden. And if you're not following the rules, I'm going to let you know about it. Now, I'm going to try to be as nice as I can be, but there's no wavering for me on that, especially the things I'm super passionate about. And so I find it being like I really love the whole thing of you setting your boundaries and still being compassionate and not
Yeah.
in my mind and not saying fuck you, because I can do that really really quick and
Me
easy.
too.
Yeah,
Like
Me
me
too.
too.
like I'm done, like fuck
Mhm.
you, that hurt and I'm not
Mhm.
doing it, and stepping back and again observing. Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the other thing that really was a stark, um, like a big neon sign for me is, and again, we're going back to the feelings. How strongly did you respond to the situation? Was it more, oh, there he goes again? Or did you get dropped back into your trauma? Right?
Which would be a sign that you need to revisit.
Yep.
Yes, 100%.
Mm. I think for me, I I am a class A self-sabotager, so I need to get to um, the root of that. That's probably going to be where I hide behind behind self
Yeah.
to self-sabotage, and I ultimately self-sabotage, and often know that I'm doing it so I'm consciously aware of self-sabotaging and
Yeah.
keep on trucking it, especially
So,
related to money.
yes. So okay, yes. Do you have a go-to tool or a go-to? Because I agree. I think I think that's a blanket statement. I think that applies to most of us. When we step into self-sabotage, there's a part of us that knows it and still chooses it.
Mhm.
That was my second husband, right? So what tools do you have when you see the self-sabotage? And have you had a conversation with yourself to say, you know what, next time this happens, irregardless of what the situation or application, I'm going to give myself one day, or I'm going to go into meditation, or I'm going to XYZ.
No, I just keep hiking down the field.
No, that's so strongly. Yeah. So identifying those places where you self-sabotage is key, right?
Yeah, I think I may have told you this before, but I have a rebel spirit, and I rebel against myself. Like, self, you can't tell me what to do. It's very
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's the origin of that? Do you know?
I gotta dig. I gotta I, I it's probably self-worth.
Hmm.
Um, but I'd like to get a little more specific.
So look at your karma. That'll give you clues.
Love that you just put a little bow on that.
And that goes right into the question that I posed on karma. What cycles keep repeating for you?
Mm,
Right? And how do we transform them? I mean, we all have a lifetime of experiences that we've transformed. So as we reflect on where we were successful, how can we apply that to the self-sabotage or the cycles that we keep stepping into?
yeah, that.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the thing, once you start putting everything in these packages and contextualizing them, then they become tools for life. So the last thing I want to cover, because I know Heidi said she has a hard stop at the top of the hour. Legacy. I felt really strongly if we are looking at values, vision, purpose, soul expression, karma, that legacy was I don't know, for me, it's a motivator, right? And the question that is posed, if today was a turning point, what would you commit to leaving behind as your legacy? And what would you commit to transforming?
I think for me, just right out of the gate, and I'm sure I could come up with probably 100, if not more, of kind of what would I leave behind. The overall kind of arching theme for me is it just doesn't have to be hard. Like my perspective of things being hard, and now just not that there's always an easy button, but it doesn't have to be as hard. And my experience doesn't always have to go back to the trauma trigger of, oh, that hurt, that was painful. That I would like to clear, clean, heal, release, and not leave behind to myself, my future self, and others that we go through these experiences to have the experience. And even though it might be painful, hurtful, not feel the best, it doesn't have to be tied to tragedy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one that you've already begun to transform, Heidi, right?
Yeah. Oh, hugely. Like it just feels like such a huge relief in my universe of wow.
Yeah, your relationship to death and loss and grief.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which again, Teresa, like I could almost just cry saying this. I mean, thank you. Because if it, you were the one person that helped me navigate that. Um, so thank you. Yeah, I mean, again, it makes me teary because I just look back too and I say to myself, gosh, where have I been all my life? Like, why, what did I miss out on? Because my perspective now is so different. And the things that I tied to death that were so painful, and certainly not that it's always jovial, but just a different perspective of what I missed out on and the experience of the joyitude that I could have had instead of the hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. And the most important part, Heidi, is by recognizing your relationship with loss and grief and death, you now can embody this new perspective and vibrate from a different place, which in turn allows you to create a different outcome, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And again, Teresa, just a million, mentor thanks, friendship thanks, sisterhood. Um, I mean, I could, all the titles that you have worn in my relationship with you of, you just didn't quit on me when I wanted to quit because it was just gut wrenching. So thank you.
Yeah. Always. That's what we're here for each other for, right?
Yeah,
To
so
just be that.
incredibly grateful.
You're welcome.
I just feel like cueing Wind Beneath My Wings.
Oh, that would be the perfect one. Amen, sister.
Okay, so that's our homework. We got values, vision, purpose, soul expression, karma, legacy.
Yep. And I'll send you a document, and I'll also send you the report that I put together on your personal karmas.
Thank you,
Okay.
T, so much for that.
You're so welcome.
This is going to be a great season.
I
Yes,
agree.
me too.
Okay, my beautiful friends, go be magic.
Go play, have
Yes.
fun. And Heidi, drive safe.
Yes, thank you so much. Love you guys.
Love you.
Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.